Are your thoughts keeping you sick? What if I told you you could heal or harm your body with the power of your thoughts? Learn how negative emotions can create a vicious cycle of disease. So stay with me today as I'm going to teach you how to hack your thoughts, your emotions, and your brain to create health in your body. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Good Gut Feeling podcast, where we digest modern medicine with old world wisdom. Today, I'm so excited to talk about a topic that's so incredibly powerful. We're going to be talking about the hidden power of your thoughts, and we will learn how to rewire your brain for health. I'm Dr. Alexandra Shustina. I'm the host of this weekly podcast, and I'm so happy to be back after a few weeks away. And I'm going to tell you about that because that is so relevant to this topic today. We talk about the mind-body connection a lot. It's getting a lot of attention these days, and especially the gut. We're now learning the gut is the second brain. Why is it the second brain? Because it actually produces brain chemicals. The gut produces brain chemicals. It's a crazy notion, but yes, we have these amazing bacteria in our gut. We have trillions of them. In fact, we have more bacterial cells than we have human cells. And many of them have important functions in our body. Some of them produce chemicals that signal to our brain, and they produce some of the happy chemicals that signal to our brain. So chemicals called neurotransmitters, such as serotonin, which is the happy chemical. So many of the antidepressants target that actually. And about 80 to 90% is actually made in the gut. Dopamine, a pleasure, a chemical, a neurotransmitter related to pleasure, is also made in the gut. So the gut has a major function in creating mental health. But as much as the gut affects the brain affects the gut in a profound way. So you may have heard, butterflies in my stomach or gut feeling. That's not an accident that we use those words. It's because the brain has more connections to the gut than any other system. So acute stress can affect the gut. Like you've seen some people have urgency to go to the bathroom when they're stressed out. But the main issue is the long-term effects. Because when we have chronic stress, which can be from a situation that happened yesterday or 20 years ago or 40 years ago, because even old situations that don't seem to be a part of our lives anymore sit in our subconscious mind, create a stressful response to triggers. So for example, let's say someone had a bad relationship with their father. They felt like they were not present in their lives. They were not there for that person. Well, that person may have a feeling of a fear of abandonment, which is very common in situations like this. So what happens when we're children? We don't have the intellectual capacity to really give it a meaning. Well, maybe my father was suffering and maybe my father had his own problems, or maybe my father was neglected himself. We just internalize the experience and pack it away into our subconscious mind. But our subconscious mind is really the biggest part of our mind. So it sits there silently, but it eats away at us when we are triggered. So when things come up that are similar in life, we are triggered. That experience is recreated. Now that can happen with everything. So that's a pretty stressful way to live, of feeling that I'm going to be abandoned. So what happens? Our body creates the chemicals that it uses for stress. Well, for stress, it's a good thing. For acute stress, it's a good thing, right? So because if I'm acutely stressed, the body perceives that the body's in danger. So then it needs to do something to save the body. But when it becomes chronic, that's the problem. Then we start producing chemicals that create an inflammatory response in our body. And this is the hallmark of all disease. So what do we do? And how can we heal? The power of positive thoughts is immense. And there have been so many experiments done with words on even external things. So for example, you may have heard of the water experiments done in Japan, where someone spoke nice words to water and formed beautiful crystalline structures. And they spoke words of not nice words, hateful words to water. And it formed this disordered array of crystals. This has been recreated in other ways. People spoke to water and then watered a plant. They spoke to one group of plants that received water that was spoken nicely to, like, I love you, you're beautiful. And then another plant or another group of plants received water that had hateful words spoken to it. And the plants that received the words of kindness and love grew better. So not only can we affect our external reality, for sure we can affect our internal reality. And when we have the opposite situation, when we have words or thoughts or perceptions of us in a negative way, or the environment we are in a negative way, then we can actually perpetuate a cycle of disease. But what's amazing is that we can harness this power to create true health. And how do we do that? Well, I'm going to give you an example from my own personal experience, because this is something that was really reinforced. I kind of knew this theoretically, and I spoke about it, and I spoke to my patients about it, but it really doesn't hit home until it really affects you. So I recently went on vacation, something I actually don't do that often, and a vacation that I don't take frequently, which is a relaxing vacation, because I like to be active. I like to be in action mode. I like to solve problems. That's my comfort zone. Just relaxing is actually stressful for me. So I decided I needed that, because I had been just bogged down with things, with situations, with work, and I felt like very heavy, and I was just, things were moving in a very stagnant way. So I wanted to clear my mind. So I went away for a week, and I didn't pack my schedule at all. And the second day of sitting at the beach, well, I arrived actually in the evening. On the first full day in the afternoon, I didn't know what to do with myself. I got stressed from having nothing to do. So what did my subconscious mind do? My subconscious mind created a problem, because we gravitate toward comfort, and comfort is different things for different people. For some people, it's more comfortable to have physical pain than emotional pain. So they can create a physical problem, which is what I actually did. So I started having mouth pain. Now, I know all the tricks. I know the tricks with all different healing methods and natural healing modalities, and I use them. And I gave myself this treatment that I use for my patients that's very effective, that worked for me for 24 hours. And the pain was gone until the next day. And the next day I was again felt overwhelmed by the fact that I didn't have any problem to solve. And again, I started feeling the pain in my mouth, and I did another treatment, and that worked also for about 12 hours. And then it came back, and I did all the physical stuff with the right diet and the right supplements, and the mouth rinses wasn't helping me. And I was very clear why this was coming back. I just wasn't sure exactly what to do. And the next day I was going snorkeling, something that I love, something that I enjoy. I enjoy water. I enjoy animals. It was like something I was really looking forward to. And I didn't sleep the whole night. I was in pain the night, and I was in pain in the morning. And I was in another country, and I was like, what am I going to do? Well, I made a decision that I'm not going to feed the beast. So many times when we have a problem, when we have an illness, when we have a disease, when we are in pain in some way, we focus on it. It's the natural response as we focus. And the more energy we give, the worse it gets. So we're feeding the beast. And I was feeding the beast. I was stressed. How am I going to solve this pain problem? But then I decided, no, I'm going to do it differently this time, because that was the whole point. The whole point was to clear my mind, not to just get into this vicious cycle of what I was doing before. So I decided I'm going to go and I'm going to enjoy myself, and I'm going to smile, and I'm not going to give that pain the energy that it wants, and I will not feed that beast. So I went and I smiled through the pain, and I was enjoying myself through the pain. And then a few hours later, I noticed, hey, the pain is coming and going. It's not consistent anymore. And then when the pain would come, what I would normally do is get upset. But this time I said no. I said, thank you to the pain. I said, thank you for the message that you're sending me. I appreciate it. And now I understand I need to relax. And every time I did that, the pain went away until it just dissipated. And at the end of the day, it was gone. And I was fine for the rest of the trip, and I enjoyed myself for the rest of the trip. And that day that I went snorkeling in pain was the best day of my trip, despite the pain. And I learned that really, we don't need the fancy modalities, and we don't need so many skills and techniques and knowledge. We really just need to rewire our brain, and anyone can do it. It just requires consciousness. So how do we do it? What are some good techniques? So we all know about meditation. We talk about meditation, and there's so much out there on how to manifest our goals. Our health goals are definitely goals we can manifest through meditation. But, and some of you out there might be thinking, yes, I've been meditating and I still haven't reached my goal. Why is that? Because there's two parts in manifestation. One is the visualization, but the second is even more important. And that is being in the state that you would be in if your goal was already achieved. So for example, if you were living the life of your dreams, would you be joyful? Would you be happy? Would you be grateful? Well, it's very important to recreate those emotions in order to attract that. Because if we are meditating from a place of lack, like I'm in so much pain and I'm going to visualize my health, but I'm feeling a lack. I'm feeling that I'm missing something. I'm not in a state of abundance and gratitude internally. I'm not going to attract that. So it's really about achieving an emotion, achieving a feeling, a real one, not a fake one. It's about achieving an emotion, achieving a feeling that is as if we are already there. And then by the law of attraction, that abundance is going to attract what you want. And it doesn't matter if it's health, because health functions in the same way as everything else. We can attract health through the power of our positive thoughts. Your brain has more power than you know, and you've been told. So start rewiring your thoughts in order to get what you want and need out of life. Health is just one of the beautiful things that we can manifest this way. So thank you for watching. If you like what you've heard, there's so much more on wholegut.com. Stay healthy, stay gutsy, and I look forward to seeing you all next week.